The throne room of the Valoran Empire was cold. It was always cold. The walls were made of black crystal that absorbed light and gave nothing back. The floor was smooth like glass, and every footstep echoed for a long time. Princess Una stood in the center of the room. Her hands were bound by chains made of light. The chains did not hurt her body. They hurt something deeper. They told everyone who saw her that she was no longer royal. She was nothing. Her father, Emperor Kale, sat on his throne above her. His silver skin glowed with power. His 4 eyes looked down at his daughter with no love. There was only anger, only disappointment. "You spoke against me," the emperor said. His voice filled the room like thunder. "You told the council that my war was wrong. You called it genocide." Una lifted her head. Her silver skin was dim now. Her 4 eyes were tired, but her voice was still strong. "It was genocide, father. The Myra people had no weapons. They had no ships. They were farmers and singers. You killed them all, every single one." I could not stay silent. The emperor's hand hit the arm of his throne. The sound was like a bomb. "Silence is what I required from you. Obedience is what I required from you. You are my daughter, my blood. And you stood before the entire galaxy and called your father a murderer, because you are one." The court gasped. No one spoke to the emperor this way. No one had ever dared. But Una was tired of being afraid. She was tired of watching her father destroy innocent worlds while everyone clapped and smiled. The emperor stood up slowly. He walked down the steps from his throne. Each step was heavy and full of rage. He stopped in front of his daughter and looked into her eyes. "Death would be too kind for you," he said quietly. "Prison would make you a martyr. My enemies would use your name as a flag. No, I need something else. Something that will break you completely. Something that will show the galaxy what happens to those who betray me." He turned to his advisors. "Bring me the list of primitive species. The lowest ones? The ones we laugh at." An advisor stepped forward with a glowing tablet. "There are several, my emperor. The Nock, the Threll, the humans," the emperor said. "Tell me about the humans." The advisor looked confused. "Humans? They are very primitive, my lord. They have barely left their own planet. They fight among themselves constantly. They live short lives. Maybe 80 years at most. They are emotional, irrational. They still eat dead animals and plants instead of using nutrient synthesis. They are considered one of the least advanced species in the known galaxy." The emperor smiled. It was not a happy smile. "Perfect," he said. "My daughter will marry one." The court exploded with noise. Some laughed. Some gasped. Una felt her heart stop. "Both of them. You cannot be serious," she said. "You will be bonded to a human male. You will live on their dirty little planet. You will be his wife in every way their primitive culture demands. And you will stay there until I decide you have learned your lesson, which will be never." Una's legs felt weak. Marriage to a human. It was the worst insult possible for a Valoran royal. Humans were considered barely intelligent. They were the joke species of the galaxy. Children told scary stories about being taken to Earth if they misbehaved. "The galaxy will see what I do to traitors," the emperor continued. "Even my own blood. Take her away. Find her a human. I do not care which one." The guards grabbed Una's arms. She did not fight. She could not. Her body was numb with shock. As they dragged her from the throne room, she heard her father say one last thing. "Goodbye, daughter. Enjoy your punishment." The ship that took Una to Earth was small and fast. She had one room with no windows. She spent 3 days inside it, not eating, not sleeping, just thinking about what was waiting for her. Humans. She had seen pictures of them. They looked similar to Valorans, but wrong in every way. Only 2 eyes. Strange colored skin in browns and pinks and tans. No glow, no power. They aged so quickly. They broke so easily. And now she would belong to one of them. When the ship landed on Earth, Una was taken to a building in a city called Busan. The air smelled strange, like salt and something cooking. The sky was blue, not purple like home. Everything felt wrong. A Valoran diplomat met her at the door. "We have selected a human male for you," the diplomat said. "His name is Do-Yoon. He is a military officer. He was chosen by random lottery. He does not know yet. He does not know he is getting married. He will be told now. You will wait here." Yuna waited. She looked around the small room. There were strange plants and pots, pictures on the walls of places she did not recognize, a soft thing on the floor that she later learned was called a rug. Everything was so small, so simple. Then the door opened. The human male walked in. He was shorter than her. His skin was a warm tan color. His eyes were dark brown, just two of them. His hair was black and slightly messy. He wore simple clothes. He looked at Yuna with an expression she could not read. Behind him, the diplomat spoke rapidly, explaining the situation. The lottery, the marriage, the bonding. The fact that he could not refuse without causing a diplomatic incident between Earth and the Valoran Empire. Du-Haeon listened without speaking. His face showed nothing. When the diplomat finished, there was a long silence. Finally, Do-Yeon looked at Yuna, really looked at her. She waited for fear, for disgust, for anger at being forced into this. Instead, he bowed his head slightly. "You must be tired," he said. His voice was quiet, calm, and hungry. "Would you like some tea?" Yuna did not understand. "Tea," she repeated. "Yes, it is a drink. It helps when things are difficult." He paused. "I have a guest room. You can stay there. You do not have to talk to me. You do not have to do anything. But you are safe here, safe." The word was strange to her. She had not felt safe in a very long time. The diplomat left after making them sign documents. Yuna was now officially bonded to this human. This small, quiet, confusing human who offered her tea instead of chains. Do-Yeon showed her to a small room with a soft bed. "Rest," he said. "We can talk tomorrow, or never. Whatever you prefer." He closed the door gently and left her alone. Yuna sat on the bed. She looked around the tiny room. She listened to the sounds of this alien planet outside the window. Cars, birds, people talking in a language she did not understand. She was supposed to be suffering. This was supposed to be punishment. So why did she feel for the first time in years like she could breathe? The first week was silent. Yuna stayed in her room most of the time. She heard Do-Yeon moving around the apartment. She heard him cooking. She heard him talking on a device called a phone. But she did not come out. She was not ready. Every morning, Do-Yeon knocked on her door softly. He never opened it without permission. He just said the same thing each time. "There is food in the kitchen if you are hungry. Please eat something." She did not eat at first. Valorans could survive many days without food. But the smells that came from the kitchen were strange and interesting. They made something happen in her stomach, something she had not felt in a long time. On the 8th day, she opened her door. Do-Yeon was in the kitchen. He was cooking something in a pot. Steam rose up and made his face wet. He looked up when he heard her footsteps, but did not seem surprised. "Good morning," he said simply. "I made soup. It is called doenjang jjigae. It might taste strange to you, but it is warm and good for the body." Yuna sat down at the small table. The bowl he placed in front of her was brown and thick. It smelled like nothing she had ever encountered. There were pieces of green and white things floating in it. "What are these?" she asked. It was the first real question she had asked him. Tofu, green onions, zucchini, sat across from her with his own bowl. "In Korea, we believe soup heals many things. Sickness, sadness, loneliness." The flavor exploded in her mouth. It was salty, savory, deep, nothing like the nutrient paste she had eaten her entire life on Valora. That was just fuel. This was something else entirely. "This is good," she said. The words came out before she could stop them. Do-Yeon smiled. It was a small smile, gentle. "I am glad you like it," ate in silence. But it was not an uncomfortable silence. It was peaceful. Days passed. Then weeks. Yuna started to come out of her room more often. She watched Doyen with great curiosity. He was not like any being she had ever known. He woke up early every morning. He did exercises on a mat in the living room. Slow, careful movements. He called it yoga. Then he watered small plants that sat on the balcony. He talked to them softly. Yuna thought this was very strange. "I cannot hear you," she said one morning. Doyen looked at her and shrugged. "Maybe not. But I like to think they can feel my care. Living things need attention. They need to know someone notices them." After the plants, he cooked breakfast. Always for two, even when Yuna did not eat. Then he read books. Not screens. Actual books made of paper. Yuna had only seen such things in museums. "Why do you read this way?" she asked. "It is very slow." "Very old." Doyen turned a page carefully. "That is why I like it. Everything now is fast. Screens and messages and noise. Books are quiet. They make me slow down. Think more." She did not understand, but she liked watching him read. His face became very peaceful when he did it. One afternoon there was a knock at the door. Doyen answered it and came back with an old woman. She had white hair and a face full of wrinkles, but her eyes were bright and sharp. "This is Yunya," Doyen said. "She lives next door. She has been my neighbor for many years." Yunya looked at Yuna with no fear. Most humans stared at her silver skin and 4 eyes with shock. Some even screamed, but Yunya just smiled. "So this is your wife?" Yunya said. "Very tall. Very beautiful. Can she cook?" "She has never tried," Doyen said. "Then she must learn." "Come, alien girl. I will teach you." Yuna found herself being pulled out of the apartment and onto the roof of the building. There was a garden there. Vegetables growing in boxes, flowers in pots. Yunya handed her a small tool. "Dig here," Yunya said. "We are planting peppers today." "I do not know how to plant things, and I will teach you." That is how life works. We do not know. Then we learn. Then we teach others. Simple. Yuna dug. The dirt got under her fingernails. The sun was warm on her skin. Yunya talked and talked. About the neighborhood, about the weather, about how Diane was a good boy who had been sad for too long. "His wife died 3 years ago," Yunya said. "Sickness took her. She was a doctor. Kind girl. Worked too hard. After she died, Doyen became very quiet. He smiled less. I worried about him." Yuna felt something strange in her chest. Sadness. For Doyen. For his loss. "But now you are here," Yunya continued. "Maybe the universe knows what it is doing. Maybe it sent you to help him heal." "I was sent here as punishment," Yuna said quietly. Yunya laughed. It was a big laugh from a small woman. "Punishment? Living with a kind man who cooks good food? Having a warm home and a garden to tend? If this is punishment, then please punish me too." That night, Yuna ate dinner with Doyen. He had made something called bulgogi. Thin slices of meat cooked with sweet sauce. It was delicious. Everything he made was delicious. "Can I ask you something?" she said. He nodded. "Why do you not touch me? We are married now. In my culture, that gives you rights." Doyen put down his chopsticks. His face became very serious. "In my culture, marriage means nothing without consent. Without respect, you did not choose me. You were forced here against your will. I would never touch someone who does not want to be touched. That is not marriage. That is something else. Something wrong." Yuna stared at him. On Valora, power was everything. The strong took what they wanted from the weak. That was simply how things worked. But this human had power over her and chose not to use it. "You are very strange," she said. Maybe he agreed. But I would rather be strange than be cruel. That night, Yuna could not sleep. She kept thinking about Doyen, about Yunya, about this small, strange planet where people talked to plants and believed soup could heal sadness. She walked to the balcony and looked at the city lights. Busan was beautiful at night. The buildings glowed. The sea reflected the moon. It was nothing like the cold, crystal towers of Valora. She heard footsteps behind her. Doyen came and stood nearby. Not too close. Just close enough? Cannot sleep? He asked. My mind is too full. He nodded. That happens to me too sometimes. When I cannot sleep, I look at the stars. I think about how small we all are. How small our problems are. It helps. They stood together in silence, looking up at the sky. Yuna saw her home star somewhere in the distance. So far away now. So far from everything she had known. Are you angry that you were chosen for this? She asked. For me. Doyen thought for a long moment. At first, I was confused, scared. I did not understand what was happening. But now, he paused. Now I think maybe I was given a chance. To stop being alone. To have someone to cook for again. To have someone to talk to. Even if that someone is a princess from another planet who has 4 eyes. Yuna almost smiled. Almost. I have never met anyone like you, she said. I've never met anyone like you either, he replied. So we are equal. They stood there until the sun started to rise. They did not speak again. But Yuna felt something changing inside her. The cold that had lived in her chest for so many years was starting to melt. She did not know what would come next. But for the first time since arriving on Earth, she was not afraid to find out. 3 months passed on Earth. Yuna learned many things in that time. She learned how to cook rice without burning it. She learned the names of flowers in Yunja's garden. She learned that Doyen smiled more when she ate his food. These small discoveries made her happy in ways she could not explain. One evening, she was looking at the bookshelf in the living room. There were many books there. Old ones with broken spines and new ones still shiny. But between the books sat a photograph. A woman with a kind face and bright eyes. She was laughing at something outside the frame. That is Sumin, Doyen said from behind her. She had not heard him come in. Your wife? Yes. He came closer and looked at the picture with soft eyes. She was a doctor. She worked at the hospital downtown. When the sickness came, many years ago, she worked day and night to save people. She saved hundreds. But she could not save herself. Yuna looked at the photograph again. Sumin had a beautiful smile. The kind of smile that made you want to smile too. You must miss her very much, every day. Doyen's voice was quiet but not sad. At first, the missing was like a knife in my chest. I could not breathe. I could not eat. I could not think about anything except her. But time passed. The knife became smaller. Now, it is more like a small stone I carry in my pocket. I know it is there. I feel it sometimes. But it does not hurt the same way. On Valora, we have technology to remove grief, Yuna said. When someone dies, their family goes to a medical center. Chemicals are given. The pain is erased. It is considered efficient. Doyen looked at her with surprise. Erase grief. But then how do you remember the person you loved? That is the point. You do not. Grief is weakness. It slows productivity. It makes people inefficient. So we remove it. That is the saddest thing I have ever heard. Now it was Yuna's turn to be surprised. Sad? Why? No one suffers. Doyen sat down on the couch. He was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Then he spoke. Grief is not just pain. Grief is proof that we loved someone. When I cry for Sumin, I am not just feeling sadness. I am feeling all the joy we had together. All the memories. All the moments. The grief and the love are connected. You cannot have one without the other. If you erase the grief, you erase the love too. Yuna sat down across from him. Her 4 eyes blinked slowly. I never thought of it that way. Humans do not try to escape pain, Doyen continued. We accept it. We carry it. And somehow, it makes us stronger. The people who have lost the most often love the deepest, because they know how precious life is. They know it can end at any moment. That night, Yuna could not stop thinking about his words. She thought about her own people. So advanced, so powerful, but so empty. They had removed all the things that made life difficult, but in doing so, they had removed the things that made life beautiful too. Humans were different. They felt everything: pain, joy, fear, love. They did not run from any of it. They walked through it all with their small, fragile bodies and their short, short lives. And somehow, they found meaning in all of it. Maybe humans were not primitive at all. Maybe they understood something her people had forgotten. 2 weeks later, Yuna learned just how different humans could be. It was late at night. Doyen was already asleep. Yuna was reading one of his books, a story about a man who sailed across the ocean alone. She heard a sound outside the window. Soft footsteps on the fire escape. Then the window shattered. 3 figures came through the broken glass. They moved fast, too fast. Their skin was silver like hers. Their eyes glowed with cold light. Valorans. "Princess Yuna," one of them said. "Your father sends his regards." Assassins. Her father had sent assassins. Yuna tried to run, but one of them grabbed her arm. His grip was strong, painful. She cried out. The sound woke Duhyan. He came out of his bedroom in seconds. He was wearing only sleeping clothes. He had no weapons. He was just a human. Small, soft, fragile. The assassins laughed. "Go back to sleep, little human," one said. "This does not concern you." Doyon did not go back to sleep. He looked at Yuna. He looked at the fear in her eyes. And something changed in his face. Something Yuna had never seen before. He attacked. The assassins were fast, trained, deadly. But Doyen was something else. He moved like water. He struck like fire. Every move was perfect. Every hit found its target. He was not just fighting. He was destroying. One assassin fell with a broken arm. Another fell with blood coming from his nose. The third raised a plasma weapon and fired. The shot hit Doyan's shoulder. He grunted in pain but did not stop. He grabbed the assassin's weapon arm and twisted. There was a horrible cracking sound. The assassin screamed and dropped. The 3 Valorans looked at each other. They were elite killers, the best of the Empire, and this one human had defeated them in less than 2 minutes. What are you?" one of them whispered. Doyen stood over them, bleeding from his shoulder, breathing hard. His eyes were dark and cold. "I am her husband," he said. "Leave now, and tell the Emperor that if he sends anyone else, I will kill them too." The assassins ran. They did not look back. Dojan fell to his knees. The plasma burn on his shoulder was bad. Very bad. Yuna ran to him. Her hands were shaking. "You are hurt. You need a doctor. I need to call." "No doctors," he said through gritted teeth. "No hospitals. They would ask questions. Just help me to the bathroom. There is a medical kit." Yuna helped him. She cleaned his wound with shaking hands. She wrapped it with bandages she found in a small white box. The whole time, Doyan watched her face with calm eyes. "Why did you do that?" she asked. Her voice was breaking. "You could have died. You almost died. For me, why?" Doyen was quiet for a moment. Then he reached up with his good hand and gently touched her cheek. "Because you are not my punishment," he said softly. "You are not my burden. You are a person. A good person who was treated badly by people who should have loved her, and I could not let them hurt you again." Yuna felt something wet on her face. She touched it with her fingers. Water, coming from her eyes. She was crying. Valorans did not cry. The gene for tears had been removed thousands of years ago. It was considered inefficient, pointless. Weak, but here she was, crying for this human who barely knew her. This human who almost died for her. This human who saw her not as a princess or a punishment, but as a person worth protecting. "I do not understand you," she whispered. "I do not understand any of this." Doyen smiled, despite his pain. "That is okay. You do not have to understand. You just have to be here. That is enough for me." They sat there on the bathroom floor until the sun came up. Yuna held his hand the whole time. She did not let go. Something had changed that night. Something important. Yuna finally understood what she was feeling. This warmth in her chest, this need to be near him. This fear of losing him, it was love. The thing her people had called obsolete and removed from their hearts. It was not obsolete at all. It was the most powerful thing in the universe, and she felt it for a human. 6 months had passed since Yuna arrived on Earth. 6 months of cooking lessons with Yunia. 6 months of quiet evenings reading beside Doyan. 6 months of learning what it meant to be happy. The wound on Doyan's shoulder healed slowly. Human bodies did not repair themselves like Valoran bodies did. They needed time, rest, care. Yuna made sure he had all three. She learned to make soup for him, the same soup he had made for her on her first morning. It took her many tries. The first batch was too salty. The second was too bland. The third, she burned completely. But Doyan ate every attempt and told her it was delicious. "You are lying," she said after the third disaster. "Maybe a little," he admitted, "but you are trying. That is what matters." Life became a routine. A good routine. Mornings in the garden with Yunia, afternoons reading or walking along the beach, evenings cooking together and watching the sunset from the balcony. It was simple. It was quiet. It was everything Yuna never knew she wanted. Then the message came. Yuna was alone in the apartment when her personal communicator activated. She had not used it since arriving on Earth. She had almost forgotten she had it. The screen glowed with a familiar symbol. "The royal crest of Valora," she answered. A face appeared on the screen. Male, silver skin, for eyes, young but tired. Her brother, Prince Minho. "Sister," he said, "I finally found a secure channel. Father's spies are everywhere. I had to be careful, Minho." Yuna felt her hearts beat faster. "What is happening? Why are you contacting me?" "Father is dying." The words hit her like a physical blow. Her father, the Emperor, dying. "The sickness came 2 months ago," Minho continued. "The doctors cannot stop it. They give him days, maybe weeks. The Empire is falling apart, Yuna. Factions are forming. Everyone is fighting for the throne. It is chaos. What does this have to do with me? Father made his feelings very clear when he sent me here. That is why I'm calling." Minho leaned closer to the screen. "The council has voted. If you return, if you renounce your marriage to the human, you will be forgiven. You can come home. You can help me stabilize the Empire. We need you, sister." Home. The word felt strange now. Once Valora was everything to her. The crystal towers, the floating gardens, the endless stars. But now, when she thought of home, she thought of a small apartment in Busan. She thought of morning soup and evening sunsets. She thought of Doyan. "I need time to think." "There is no time," Minho said urgently. "Every day the factions grow stronger. Soon there will be war. Billions will die. You can prevent this. You can save our people." The screen went dark. Yuna sat in silence for a long time. Doyan found her there when he came back from the market. She was sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. Her face was blank. Her 4 eyes were wet. "What happened?" he asked. He set down the grocery bags and came to her immediately. She told him everything. Her father, the Empire, her brother's offer. The choice she had to make. Doyon listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a moment. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I do not know." Her voice broke. "I have duties, responsibilities. People will die if I do not go back. But," she looked at him, "but I do not want to leave. I do not want to leave this place. I do not want to leave Yunia. I do not want to leave you." Doyan took her hands in his. They were warm, strong, real. "Listen to me," he said gently. "Whatever you decide, I will support you. If you need to go back to save your people, I understand. I will not stop you. I will not guilt you. Your duty is important. I know that. But nothing. He smiled sadly. Your happiness matters. Your life matters. You have spent your whole existence doing what others expected. What your father demanded? What your culture required? Maybe, just this once, you should ask yourself what you actually want. What I want does not matter. It never has. It matters to me. Yuna looked into his eyes. Those strange two-eyed human eyes that held more warmth than Valoran eyes ever could. I want to stay, she whispered. I want to stay here with you. I want to wake up every morning and see your face. I want to grow old in this tiny apartment. I want to tend to young Joe's garden and eat your terrible cooking and watch the sunset from the balcony. I want all of it. I want you. Tears fell from her eyes again. She still was not used to crying, but it felt right somehow. It felt like releasing something heavy she had carried for too long. Then stay, Do-yeon said simply. But my people, your people, have survived for thousands of years. They have armies, technologies, resources. They do not need you to save them. They want you to save them because it is easier. Because they do not want to save themselves. But you are not responsible for them, Yuna. You are only responsible for yourself. For your own happiness, for your own life. They will say, I abandoned them. Let them say it. You did not abandon them. They abandoned you first. They sent you here as punishment. They treated you like trash. They sent assassins to kill you. They do not deserve your loyalty. They do not deserve your sacrifice. Yuna wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. You make it sound so simple. It is simple. Love is simple. The people who love you want you to be happy. The people who do not love you want you to be useful. You have to decide which group you want to listen to. That night, Yuna sat on the balcony alone. The stars were bright. She could see her homeworld somewhere in the distance, a tiny point of light among billions. She thought about her life on Valora, the cold palace, the colder father, the rules and expectations and punishments. She had never been happy there. She had never been allowed to be. And she thought about her life on Earth, this small, warm, wonderful planet. This place where people talked to plants and believed in the power of soup. This place where a quiet man had shown her more kindness in 6 months than her own father had shown in 200 years. The choice was not really a choice at all. She activated her communicator and called her brother Yuna. Minho answered immediately. Have you decided? Are you coming home? I am already home, she said. There was a long silence. Do not understand. I am staying on Earth. I am staying with my husband. I will not renounce my marriage. I will not return to Valora. This is my final decision. But the Empire will survive without me. It survived for millennia before I was born. It will continue after I am gone. This is not my burden to carry, Minho. Not anymore. Father will never forgive you. Father sent assassins to kill me. His forgiveness means nothing. Another long silence. Then, surprisingly, Minho laughed. It was a tired, broken laugh. But there was something else in it, too. Something that sounded almost like respect. You have changed, sister. This human has changed you. No, he showed me who I always was. I just never had the freedom to be her. I hope you find happiness, Minho said. His voice was soft now. Sad but accepting. I truly do. I already have. She ended the call and turned off her communicator. Then she walked back inside the apartment. Do-yeon was waiting on the couch. He looked up when she came in. What did you decide? Yuna sat down beside him, close. Closer than she had ever sat before. She took his hand. I decided that this is where I belong. Here, with you. For as long as you will have me? Do-yeon smiled. That gentle, warm smile she had come to love so much. He squeezed her hand. Then I guess you are staying forever. Forever's a long time for humans. Then we better not waste any of it. He leaned in and kissed her forehead softly. It was the first time he had ever kissed her, and it was perfect. Outside, the stars continued to shine. Somewhere among them, an empire was falling. But here, In a small apartment in Busan, something new was being built. Something better. Something real. Something that would last 1 year later. The Valoran Empire was no more. Why Yuna watched the news from Earth. Ships fighting ships. Planets burning. Factions tearing each other apart over a throne that no longer mattered. Her father had died within a week of her final message. Without strong leadership, the empire had collapsed into civil war. Billions died. Cities fell. Ancient crystal towers crumbled to dust. Everything her ancestors had built over 10,000 years was destroyed in just 12 months. She should have felt guilty. She had been told her whole life that she was responsible for her people, that their survival depended on her obedience, that she owed them everything. But sitting on the balcony with Doyun, watching the sunset over Busan, she felt only peace.
Ow.
Do you regret it? Doyun asked. He was holding her hand as he always did now. It had become natural, comfortable. Right? No, she said honestly. I feel sad for the innocent people. The children who did not choose to be born into that empire, but I do not regret staying. I could not have saved them. No one could have. The rot was too deep. It had been there for centuries. I was just the excuse they used to hide it. That is very wise. I learned it from you, she smiled. Humans are good teachers. The war in space had unexpected consequences for Earth. Other alien species noticed. They saw what the Valoran Empire had become. They also saw what Earth had become. A planet where an exiled princess had found happiness. Where a human had treated an alien as an equal. Where love had survived against all odds, the Galactic Council asked. Yuna to speak? She went alone to the orbital station where the council met. Representatives from 100 species watched as she stood before them. Some were curious. Some were hostile. Some were simply confused. You wish to know about humans? She said. I will tell you. She told them about Doyun. About his kindness, his patience, his quiet strength. She told them about Yunya and her garden. About soup that healed sadness. About books made of paper. About mornings watching the sunrise and evenings watching it set. My people considered themselves superior, Yuna continued. We had technology beyond imagination. We had power beyond measure. We lived for centuries. We felt no pain, no grief, no fear. We thought this made us strong. She paused. The council was silent. We were wrong. It made us weak. We removed everything that was difficult, and in doing so, we removed everything that mattered. We forgot how to love. We forgot how to hope. We forgot how to live. And when the crisis came, we had nothing left to fight for. She stepped forward. Humans are different. They feel everything. They hurt and they heal. They grieve and they grow. They live short lives and they fill every moment with meaning. They are not primitive. They are the most advanced species I have ever encountered, because they have never forgotten the most important thing of all. And what is that? A council member asked. It's that life is not about avoiding pain. It is about finding joy despite the pain. It is about loving someone even though you will lose them. It is about building something beautiful even though it will not last forever. Humans understand this. They have always understood it. And that is why they will outlast us all. Council voted 3 days later. Earth was granted full membership in the galactic community, not as a primitive species to be studied, as equals. Perhaps even as teachers. Yuna returned home to be USAN. Du-Hayan was waiting at the door. He looked older than when they first met. There were gray hairs at his temples now. Lines around his eyes. Humans aged so quickly. It was the one thing about them that still made Yuna sad. But when he smiled, he looked exactly the same. How did it go? He asked. Earth is part of the galaxy now, officially. That sounds like a lot of work for us. Maybe. But you will have help. Many species want to learn from humans. They want to understand how you survived for so long with so little. Doyun laughed. We survived because we had no choice. That is the human way. We complain and we struggle, and we sometimes want to give up. But we keep going anyway. They walked inside together. The apartment looked the same as always. The books on the shelf, Suman's photograph still in its place. The plants on the balcony, bigger now than when Yuna first arrived. Yuna came for dinner that night. She was slower than before. Her hair was fully white, but her eyes were still bright. Her laugh was still loud. "I heard you gave a speech to the aliens," Yuna said. "Told them all about us. Told them the truth. That humans are remarkable. You're just people," Yuna said with a shrug. "We do our best. Sometimes we fail. Sometimes we succeed. That is all anyone can do. That is exactly what makes you special." After dinner, Yuna and Do-yeon stood on the balcony. The city lights sparkled below. Ships from other worlds now passed through the sky sometimes. Earth was changing, growing, becoming part of something larger. "I have something for you," Do-yeon said. He handed her a small pot. Inside was a tiny plant with delicate green leaves. "In Korean tradition, you give paper for the first wedding anniversary," he explained. "But I thought you might like something alive." Yuna held the plant carefully. She remembered her first day on this balcony. How strange everything had seemed. How lost she had felt. Now this small space felt like the center of the universe. "On Valora, we gave nothing for anniversaries," she said. "Marriage was a contract. When it was no longer useful, it ended. And here," she set the plant down gently. Then she turned to face her husband. She cupped his face in her silver hands. Those two strange human eyes looked back at her with so much love. "Here it is only the beginning." She kissed him properly. For the first time. His lips were warm against hers. His arms wrapped around her. And in that moment, every choice she had ever made suddenly felt right. She thought about the day she spoke against her father. The punishment, the exile, the chains of light that bound her. She had thought it was the end of everything. It was actually the start. Years passed. Do-yeon's hair turned fully gray. His steps became slower, but his smile never changed. His kindness never faded. Every morning he still made breakfast for two. Every evening he still held her hand as they watched the sunset. Yuna passed away in her sleep. When Yuna had been on Earth for 15 years, the funeral was small and simple. Do-yeon cried. Yuna cried too. They tended Yanja's garden together, keeping it alive in her memory. "This is what your people missed," Do-yeon said quietly. "The grief is hard. But look at what we have because of it. Memories. Love. A garden that will bloom every spring because we remember her." "I understand now," Yuna replied. "I finally understand." When Do-yeon died, he was 83 years old. Old for a human. Young for a Valoran. He went peacefully in his sleep, holding Yuna's hand. She did not erase her grief. She carried it with her, just as he had taught her. A small stone in her pocket. A reminder of everything they had shared. She kept the apartment. The books. The plants on the balcony. She made soup every morning, even though there was no one to share it with. She watched the sunset every evening and remembered sometimes humans from around the world came to visit her. The alien princess who had chosen Earth. They asked her about the galaxy, about other species, about technology beyond their dreams, but mostly they asked about Do-yeon, about the man who had shown kindness to a stranger, the man who had changed everything. He was just a person, Yuna always told them. He did his best. Sometimes he failed. Sometimes he succeeded. That is all anyone can do. And they would nod, understanding, because that was the human way. The beautiful, messy, painful, joyful human way, and Yuna would not trade it for anything in all the galaxies. She had come to Earth as punishment. She stayed as a choice, and she would remain until the very end. Tending her garden, reading her books, carrying her grief and her love together. Because that was what it meant to be alive. That was what it meant to be human. That was joy.